My name's Christina Ienna. I'm a director of photography and I started working in the film industry in 2006. When I was in university, I was really eager to get on set and get my hands on a camera and just learn more practical skills. But my program was very heavy on like written education, so my TA got me on a film set as a PA, and from working on that film set, I ended up getting an internship at a local production house, and then ended up from there getting a job working on a feature in Alberta after I graduated. I had grown up in a small Southern Ontario town, so it was really exciting to like travel somewhere and see a film industry that wasn't what I was used to. So I moved out to Alberta, spent about 5 years there working on different productions, second uniting, shooting myself, and then I decided to move across Canada again back to Toronto because I figured it would probably be a better choice to move to a bigger film industry to progress my career at this point. I would say years of makeshift filmmaking, living in small towns. You kind of had to get creative with what you had to make a film with. So I think that kind of grew into my kind of adaptable kind of nature, and also working in documentary quite a bit. You're just kind of always on the seat of your pants trying to just figure out what the best, like making the best with what you have. So adaptability is definitely one of my strengths. As a cinematographer, you're a technician, you're a creative, and you're also head of department. And that's three different kind of things you have to balance while you're also communicating to several different departments and your creative collaborator, which is your director. So it can be very challenging, but it's also what makes the job really interesting and what I enjoy the most about it. Being female has somewhat slowed my progression in my career as a cinematographer because it was so male-dominated. You definitely have to prove a little bit more than your competitors that you can do the job when you're going up for a project. Women are a little discouraged pursuing cinematography because visibility is a huge factor in when you're trying to pursue any career. When you don't see someone like you in a field, it's hard to see it as a feasible option. I definitely grew up with mostly men in the industry around me. I had very supportive men, which was great, but it wasn't until later, like midway through my career, that I actually met like my first female cinematographer, and it was incredibly inspiring and emotional to see someone succeeding in something that you are so like passionate about trying to pursue yourself. Definitely seeing more women in this role will definitely bring forth more women interested in taking on cinematography and other technical roles in the industry. I think just focusing on my work instead of worrying about what other people think. It's really hard when our job is very criticized. It's art at the end of the day. You're telling stories, and sometimes you get caught up in your head about that, about what people are thinking instead of just focusing on getting better at your craft. I was a very visual kid. I painted, I drew, I was in theater, so I already kind of had the natural instinct of composition built into me from a very young age. And just lighting, reading about history, the history of art, and understanding Rembrandt and how lighting theater stages work, it just definitely was a huge asset going into cinematography because it was kind of just something already instinctually built into me growing up. I also am very adaptable because growing up in a small town, I had to use whatever resources I could. So it's definitely an asset when I have to walk into a room and sort things out on the fly. My own personal project, Handmade Film, was something that exceeded expectations. It ended up playing in, I think, over 25 film festivals in the past year. It was something I directed, produced, and shot. It was also about making film emulsion itself, how people used to make film back in the day, and see who was interested in that project. Yeah, and then just the past year has been really fruitful in the projects I've worked on and the people I've met. being in a new city. It's definitely led to some great partnerships and future collaborations that I'm looking forward to in this new year. The biggest change is technology. When I started, we were still in standard definition, and it was kind of progressing into high definition, but also the access to just more prosumer-friendly cameras. Like anyone can pick up an iPhone and shoot a film now, or a DSLR and shoot a film now, and it's really interesting to see more voices coming through now because of the access to technology and what people can bring to the table with very little. I would definitely like to see more women and more people of color in technical roles like cinematography, sound, post, lighting. These are all very still male-dominated positions. Film is a very collaborative environment, so the more we have different voices on productions, the more interesting and inclusive projects will be. I'm definitely interested in shooting more narrative work. I really enjoy foreign film. Would definitely be interested in working on a project that has European or South American influence. Just something with a bit different flavor than what we're seeing in Canadian and North American television would be kind of fun. Switch it up. Yeah, and then I just enjoy traveling, so anytime I get an opportunity to travel somewhere and film something and tell someone's story, it's great. So I'm always up for that. I'm just up for working with anyone that's collaborative. That's the most fulfilling kind of project, is when you really feel like you have a partner that you're creating something with, and you're not just there pointing in a camera at somebody. The best advice would be just to focus on your work and becoming a better cinematographer, because at the end of the day, that's what people are looking at, your work. And if they can't see your work for what it's worth, then maybe those aren't the people that you should be collaborating with. And somewhere out there, there'll be someone that will appreciate what you're doing, and you'll make great projects together.